so starting on your backs with your hips raised. So it can be a block, it can be a cushion, it can be whatever. And then just taking your legs up. So we're starting in like a waterfall position, so taking the legs up to the ceiling. I just want you to relax through the shoulder area, let the shoulders soften. Your arms can be wherever feels nice. And have a little rock forward and back of the legs initially until you find that place where the legs can just hang above you with no effort at all. Okay, the legs don't have to be straight, so you can have a micro bend through the knees. So just depending on how your hamstrings are feeling. And then when you found that position where the legs can just hang, just close down the eyes. And then just bring your focus into the breath. Take some nice, long, slow inhales and exhales. And just allow everything to soften, but let those legs just hang above you. And notice any sensations that you may be feeling in the legs, in the feet. You may feel some pins and needles or tingling. And at any time that you need to, you can always just bring your knees into your chest and then bring the feet to the floor if you wish. I'm going to be here for another sort of 30 seconds. Just focus on the breath. So increasing the length of the breath so that we push it down into the belly. And see if you can make your exhale a little longer than your inhale. So if you want, you can bring a count to the breath. So breathing in maybe for a count of 5 and exhaling for a count of 6. Just gradually making that exhale a bit longer each time. Good. Relaxing through the facial muscles. The cheeks, the jaw is soft, the shoulders are soft. The neck, if we can keep the neck nice and long. Smoothing out the forehead. And then just set yourself an intention before you start moving. An intention or a dedication for practice today. It's good to take this position every now and again because it just gives your legs a bit of a flush out, and we spend so much time standing or seated. It's a good way to energize the body. Okay, so flutter the eyes open. And then as you inhale, let's bring the right knee into the chest. Give it a little squeeze in. And with the left leg, we're just going to lower it down to hover it off the floor. And then we're going to inhale and we're going to switch the legs over. So bring the left knee in and extend the right and hover it down to the floor. And then inhale, lift it up and then switch. And just keep this going with your breath. So bring in nice and slowly. Use the full length of the breath. Just switching the legs over, alternating one leg at a time, down towards the floor. That's it. So squeezing that knee into the chest as well. So give it a good squeeze in. And again. Lovely. So nice slow control movements, working with the breath. Do one more on each side. Make sure you've done equal on each side. So probably the right one and then finish with the left. Good. And then bring both knees into the chest and give yourself a little squeeze of both knees in. And then if you just bring your feet down to the floor, you should be able to move the block out from underneath you. And then continue lifting the hips so we come into a bridge position. Arms are coming down to the floor, so they're down by your side. Gaze is up towards the ceiling. Just push the floor away with your feet, making sure that the knees stay traveling forward towards the toes. As you exhale now, roll the spine back down to the floor, really slowly, one vertebra at a time. And then inhale, tilt the pelvis and roll the hips back up to the ceiling. Let's do that twice more. So exhale, roll the spine back down to the floor. And then inhale, tilt and roll the hips, lift them up. Good, and release. Do one more, last one. Inhale, lift up, push and lift those hips up, so get a nice stretch through the front of the body. So push, 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 and exhale, slowly lowering them all the way down. Good, take your arms out towards crucifix shape, and then bring your knees into your chest. So bring the knees in, have a little rock from side to side to just release off through the lower back. And then take the knees all the way over to the right side to take a spinal twist here, keeping the shoulders down onto the floor. And then inhale, bring your knees back to center and take them over to your left side. Keeping those shoulders down, just starting the twist through the body. And then inhale, bring them back to center, take them back over to the right. So once more on each side, take it over. Turn your head now towards the left. Breathe into the left rib cage here. As you exhale, let the shoulders soften to the floor a touch more if you can. Then bring your knees back to center, head back to center, knees over to the left. Turn your head towards the right. And then breathe into the right rib cage. Big inhale, exhale, those shoulders melt a little bit more. And then inhale, let's bring the knees back to center. Take hold behind the back of the thighs. I'm going to rock and roll forward and back. So go forward and back. And come up and find yourself in a seated position. So just come into an easy cross-leg position here. Lift up on the inhale, so reach, reach, reach up. And then as you exhale, slowly just fold and let the head drop down, just coming onto fingertips here so you can creep the fingertips forward, but keep the sit bones nicely grounded. Let the head go down. Walk your hands back towards you, bring the hands behind you, and then just opening up through the chest. Let the head go back. And then release, come back to center, come over the knees to tabletop. So you're on your hands and knees, hands are under shoulders, knees are directly underneath our hips. Make sure the core is engaged, so pull that lower belly in. All right, we'll take a few rounds of cat-cow. So inhale, lift the head, tilt the tailbone back. And then exhale, round the spine, bringing the chin into the chest, lifting the belly button up. Good. Inhale, head lifts, tailbone tilts back. And then round on your exhale. And then one more. Inhale, lift the head, tilt the tailbone. And then as you exhale, round the spine and hold it here. Come as high as you can. Pull that belly in. And then see if you can come up onto your fingertips. And then really pull the belly in even more. Push the floor away with your fingertips. Bring your chin as tight to your chest as you can and tuck the tailbone a little bit tighter to really stretch out through the back. And then just release back into a regular tabletop position. So onto your hands and knees. All right, let's extend the right leg towards the back of the room. So flexing the foot. So we're pushing the heel towards the back of the room. The back stays nice and flat here. Okay, as you inhale, let's draw the knee in towards the chest. So you're bringing your forehead toward your knees as well. So round through the spine. And then as you exhale, extend the leg, then bend the knee and bring your heel up towards the ceiling. Okay, so we've got a bent right leg, and then push your heel up towards the ceiling to activate into your glutes. All right, then we're going to bring the right knee towards the right elbow, and then bring it back to center to hover, and then push it back again. Okay, so bend the knee, so the heel pushes, the foot pushes up to the ceiling, push that foot further up, then bring the knee towards your elbow, and then back into center to hover. One more, push that leg back. Bring the heel up. So bend the knee, heel towards the ceiling, push it up towards the ceiling, and then knee comes around towards the elbow, and then bring it back into our tabletop. Push your bottom back to your heels now. Just take a little child's pose in between doing the other side. Before we do the other side, just move your hips from side to side slowly. And then let's come back into tabletop to do the other side. Left leg extends behind. So flex that foot, make it nice and strong. Nice and strong base with the hands. Okay, so bend at the knee. Sole of the foot up towards the ceiling. Then bring the knee towards the elbow. Then back to center just to hover off the floor and then push it back out. And then bend. Push the heel up. Bring the knee towards the elbow. And then knees come together, hover and extend. Last one, heel to bottom, push the foot up towards the ceiling, bring the knee around the elbow, and then bring them back together, back into your tabletop position. Lovely. Tuck your toes under now and push back to your child to give the toes a nice stretch out. Reach the fingertips as far forward as you can and then slide your chest down along to come into a baby cobra. So coming down onto the floor, keeping the chest lifted, no pressure through the hands, squeeze the shoulder blades and the elbows together. Just look forward, engage your tummy, engage your legs. So the kneecaps can lift here. So push down through the top of the feet. On your next exhale, lower the head, forehead down towards the floor, then tuck the toes under, push up through tabletop, lifting the knees off the floor. And so we come and end up in a downward facing dog position. So find that position that works for you, the optimal length of your down dog, the hands shoulder distance, the feet to hip distance. Have a pedal of the legs here. So just have a bend of one leg and the other. Maybe raising up onto your toes and pushing the heels down, shaking the head out. Just finding a little bit of movement to settle into downward facing. Okay, lift up onto your toes as you inhale. Come forward into a plank. Hold it nice and strong, engaging everything, making sure the shoulders are over the fingertips. So a little bit, the arms are slanted, touch further forward. Drop the knees down to the floor and lower chin and chest to the mat. Keep those elbows tight through to the ribs. Push through into your back bend. Shoulders are back and down away from the ears. And then back again into downward facing. Lift up onto your toes, bend the knees. Now look forward and step or walk both feet to the top of the mat. Here we'll just hang in a ragdoll position, so take hold of opposite elbows. Allow the upper body to hang over the legs for a breath or two. You can take hold of elbows or just allow the hands to touch the mat. And take a bit of weight into the balls of the feet, then into the heels, so rocking forward and back. Let the head be heavy, shake it out. And then with soft knees, slowly roll up the spine, coming into a standing position. Take the arms up to the ceiling, touch your palms together and look up. Make yourself as tall as possible and reach up. As you exhale, hands come into prayer, heart center. So starting now into Tadasana at the top of the mat, so bringing the big toes together to touch. Slight gap between the heels, hands are in prayer at heart center. Ready, inhale, lift up, reach up. Exhale into forward fold. Take that halfway lift. Bring your hands onto your shins and lengthen through the spine. Fold again, hands to the floor, step back with the right foot. Drop the right knee down onto the floor. Untuck the back toes, push and lift into the front foot, raise your arms up, half lunge. Make sure the knee stays over the ankle at the front. Now tuck the tailbone as you sink into the hip to get the stretch through the hip flexor on the right side. Keep those shoulders nice and soft. See if you can sink a little bit deeper. Lovely. As you exhale, let's push both of the hips back. Pull the left toes up and into your half splits position. Can't reach the floor. Hands can be on the hips. Okay, so the fingertips on the floor or hips, pull the toes up and stretch through the hamstring. Push that left hip towards the back of the room. The right hip pulls forward. The chest can start moving down towards the thigh if that feels good. And then release the weight back into the front foot. Step back into plank and lower, either knees, chin or chaturanga. Push through into back bend. up dog or cobra, and then back into your downward facing dog. Lift the right leg up on the inhale. Keep the hips nice and square and lead with the heel. Push into your hands. See if you can get that heel a little bit higher, that right heel lifted up towards the ceiling, and then step between your hands. So look forward and step that right foot to the top of the mat. Bring the back knee down. Keep the left hand on the floor, reach the right arm up towards the ceiling to take your twisted half lunge. And I want you to really sink into your hips. So because we've lowered that back knee, really sink into the hips here and drop the hips down towards the floor. And then see if you can take that hand past the vertical position and reach back. So you're starting to open your chest towards the ceiling as well. And then sink your hips again. And make sure you're still breathing. Quite important. So pull the right shoulder back. Lift the chest towards the ceiling. Sink the hips down a little bit more. And then release. But bring your hand down. Frame your front foot. Let's step forward and fold over the legs here. Slowly roll up the spine to stand. Reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Inhale at the top of the movement. Exhale into forward fold. Halfway lift, lengthen. Hands to the floor, step back, left leg. Drop the knee down onto the floor and untuck the toes. Push into your right foot, come up into your little half lunge position, arms to the sky. Tuck the tailbone and sink into the hip here. Use the breath to keep sinking you down. So we're trying to open up through the front of the hip. But don't just sink into it. Keep the tailbone tucked under at the same time. Relaxing the shoulders so your palms are facing towards each other. Keep those shoulders soft. Keep the gaze steady and forward and the breath long. Spread the toes out on the right foot. Okay, exhale, push the hip back. Pull the right toes up into your half splits. Hands are on the floor or on the hips. Pull the toes towards your face. Now move that right hip back. Pull the left hip forward and start coming down towards the thigh. Keep the spine nice and long and the breath. Lovely. Release the weight back into the front foot, hands to the top of the mat. Now step back into your plank position. Take your vinyasa here. So lower either chaturanga or knees chin. Push through, back bend. And then all the way back into downward facing. Good. Lift the left leg up. Keep those hips stacked. So we don't want to lift the left hip. Keep them square. So the toe should be pointing down. Lead with the heel. Push into your hands. Lift that left heel a little bit higher. Now look forward and step the left foot between the hands. Drop the back knee down onto the floor and again untuck the toes. Keeping the right hand down, take the left arm up so you're into your twisted lunge. So really extend and reach those fingertips towards the ceiling. Sink the hips low. So you can even creep that left foot further forward if you can get deeper into it. And then let's open the chest to the ceiling. So pull the shoulder back. So we're taking the arm past that vertical position to try and turn the chest to the ceiling and open up even more. Keep sinking the hips. Look towards that top hand if it feels okay. Reach up and back a touch more if you can. And then release the hand down to frame the front foot. Step forward and fold at the top of the mat. Take a halfway lift, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold again. Come up on the inhale. Use the arms to lift you up. Hands into prayer heart center. Bring those feet together. Big toes are touching. As you inhale, arms come up. Then let's sit into chair posture. Sit your bottom down. Now tuck the tailbone under. So we're not sticking the bottom out. Tuck it under. And arms are reaching for the top corner of the room. Look where your arms are going. And then sit down a little bit deeper. Just check you can see your toes. If you can't, push your bottom back a touch more. Keep lifting the chest as you inhale, sitting a little bit deeper as you exhale. Take another breath here. Breathe in. Sit deeper on the exhale. Good. Inhale. Forward fold now as you exhale. Halfway lift. Hands to the floor, step back. Right foot, step back. Left foot to plank. Hold that nice and strong. Push back, downward facing dog. Lovely. Lift the right leg up into the air. Step it forward between the hands. Bring it to the top of the mat. Keep the left hand down. Take the right arm up. So we're in a full lunge this time. Now take both of your feet onto the outside edge. So drop onto the outside edge of both feet. And then step the right foot onto the left to take a side plank. Okay, if we can't quite get it to the foot, we can just step it in front to take a modification, but take a side plank. Extend the fingertips up, push and lift the hips, bring it back to regular plank, lower to chaturanga, push through, up dog, all the way back, downward facing. Good, take the left leg up, big step forward between the hands. Keep the right hand down, reach the left arm up. So you find your twisted lunge. Both feet go onto the outside edge. Step the left foot back to join the right in a side plank. Remember, we can just step it in front of the foot if we need to for a modification. And then lift the hips, reach the fingertips up. Maybe look towards that top hand. Take a breath. Go back to regular plank position, lower to chaturanga. Inhale to up dog, push back into downward facing. Well done, lift up onto your toes, bend the knees, look forward, step, jump, float to the top, halfway lift, and then fold, bring your big toes together to touch. Sit down, sweep the arms forward, chair posture, hold. Sit deeper. Breathe into the chest. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Hands to the floor, step back left, step back right. Plank. Lift the hips, push the heels down, downward facing dog. Good. Lift the right leg up into the air. Step it forward between the hands. Okay, this time we're going to warrior one. So take that left foot out a bit wider and ground the heel. Push into the front foot. Come up, keeping the hips and the shoulders forward into your warrior one. So arms come up to the ceiling. Good. So bend deep into that front knee. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Ground down through the outside edge of that left foot. So really push down through that foot into the mat. Reach up as you inhale. Exhale, take the hands behind, interlace the fingers. Open up through the chest. Now push your chest to the ceiling. Let your head go back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Then bow down into humble warrior. Bringing the chest inside that front knee. Arms are coming up and overhead. Look at your back foot. Let your head go. Keep pushing down through those feet. And then bring the right hip towards the center line of your mat. So we're not allowing the hip to stick out. Take another breath. Let's go deeper. Now see if you can bend deeper into that front knee. Take a deeper knee bend. Lovely. Release your hands to the inside of that right foot. Lift the left heel off the floor and then lower the knee down. So you come into a lizard lunge position. So hands are level with the foot at the top of the mat. Take an inhale, push the chest forward. And as you exhale, round the spine, push your hips back and come into a stretch, coming down the front of this right leg. And then inhale, come forward again. So push the hips forward, push the chest forward. And then exhale, push it back. This time pulling the toes up towards your face. So you've got your toes coming up in a stretch through the hamstring here. And then if you place the left hand on the floor underneath the left shoulder, we can open up, take the right arm up towards the ceiling. And now notice if that right hip has started lifting. If it has, push it back down so it's level with the left. So you open up and you get the stretch. Well done. Release your hand down. So bring your right hand to join the left. And we're going to come into a wide leg position facing the side edge of your mat. Yeah, awesome. All right, so take the feet as wide as feels comfortable for you. So the feet are parallel with the side edges of the mat, and the hands are either on the floor or maybe you want to use your blocks here, that's fine. Lengthen through your spine, so take your hands a little bit further forward. So we get a really long spine. Inhale here. As you exhale, I just want you to take weight into your hands and into the balls of your feet so we can turn the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Then bring your left hand to the center, reach your right arm up and take the twist on this side. Extending those fingertips up, pushing the floor away with the bottom hand. Good, and then change over. So bring the right hand down, take the left arm up. Trying to keep your hips nice and square. Look towards the top hand, reach and extend those fingertips up higher. Good, and then exhale, release the hand down. Let's walk back towards our right foot, rotating back into that lizard lunge position. So dropping the back knee to the floor if you wish. And then we're going to lift the chest, look forward. And as we exhale, maybe come down onto our forearms. Or you can use the block if you want to, or just stay on your hand if that feels better. If anybody wants to lift that back knee once more to get some more power into the posture, then you can lift the back knee, tuck the back toe, lift the back knee off the floor. But sinking down into lizard. And just finding some breaths here. Maybe move around if that feels good. You don't have to stay still. You can have a rock forward, back, side to side. Just notice what's going on for your hip and release it off. Let the head be, just let it be heavy. Let the shoulders be soft here. We're just working on the hip area. Good. If you're on forearms, come back onto your hands. Everybody tuck the left toe under. We're going to drive that right leg up and back into a three-legged dog. So lift it to the sky now, bend the knee and drop the heel towards the opposite butt cheek. Just make some circles with that right knee. So circling the knee, just to release out any tension. Go the other way as well. And then extend back into three-legged dog. Bring it forward to plank. Keep the leg lifted if you wish as you lower to chaturanga. Push through into your back bend. Drop your knees to the floor. Sit back and take a child's pose. Forehead to the mat. Release and take a few breaths. Well done. We'll do the whole thing on the other side. Have a drink if you need one. Or just take some long, slow inhales and exhales. Sinking, releasing tension. One more round of breath. Fill up on your inhale. Let go on your exhale. And then we'll meet back in downward facing dog when you're ready. Lift up onto your toes, bend your knees, look forward, step, jump or walk up to the top, halfway lift. Now fold, come up on the inhale, sweep those arms up to the ceiling. Hands come into prayer at heart center. Inhale, reach and lift up. Exhale into forward fold. Take a halfway lift. And fold, step back into plank. Hold it nice and strong in your plank. Lower to chaturanga, push through up dog. And all the way back into downward facing. Lift the left leg up on the inhale. Good, step it forward between the hands. Then take the right foot a little wider, ground the heel down, lift up warrior one. So hips and shoulders are forward. Bend deep into that front knee. So we're trying to get this thigh parallel with the floor if we can. Root down through the outside edge of the right foot. Arms are extended, palms are facing towards each other. Shoulders are relaxed. Breathe into the chest. Exhale, take your hands behind and interlace. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift the chest, lift the gaze, then bow down into humble warrior. Chest inside that front knee, arms are coming overhead, look to your back foot. So bend deep into that front knee. And then bring the left hip towards the midline of your mat. Don't allow it to stick out. Keep squeezing the shoulder blades towards each other. Bend deeper into that front knee. See if you can get your knee over the ankle. Really go deep. Lovely. Release the hands to the inside of the foot. Lift the right heel off the floor and just drop that back knee down onto the mat. So we've got hands inside the foot at the top. As you inhale, push your chest forward. And then exhale, push the hips back, keeping the toes down so you get the stretch down the front of the foot. Inhale, push the chest forward again, hips come forward. Exhale, push back, pull back, the toes come up towards the ceiling now. So we feel that stretch coming through that hamstring, pushing the left hip all the way back, as far back as we can. And then bring the right hand underneath the right shoulder as you open the chest. So lifting those left fingertips to the ceiling, look towards them. Make sure this hip doesn't start moving around. Keep the hips in line with each other as you open. Lovely. Bring the hand, so left hand to meet the right. We're going to come into that wide leg stance again. So opening yourself up. I'm just going to turn myself around. Again, hands can come forward so we lengthen through the spine. And then put weight into the balls of your feet. Lengthen the spine as much as you can on your inhale, then fold deep, walking your hands back so that they're level with the feet or coming off the back of the mat. Pulling yourself through all the time, weight into the balls of the feet, lift the tailbone. Knees can have a slight bend in them if you need them to. Well done. So feeding your chest through your legs, lifting your bottom into the sky. Feel that lovely stretch through the back of the legs here. Let the head just hang heavy towards the floor. Good, and then walk your hands back so that they are underneath your shoulders. Let's walk back towards our left foot. So we're coming back to the left foot. And again, just drop that back knee down onto the floor. So we can be on our hands here, or you may want to lower down onto your forearms. If you want to include a bit of power, tuck the back toe and lift the back knee for full lizard and take some breaths in this position. My hips are super tight at the moment, so I can't go as deep as normal, but that's good. It's just noticing what's going on for your body and working at the right level. Use blocks if you want. You can always put blocks underneath your elbows as well. That helps. But just breathe into the hip. Work on the tension in your hip rather than building it in your shoulder area. So keep the shoulders, the neck nice and soft. Then bring yourself back onto your hands. Tuck the back toe under. We're going to drive the left leg up and back all the way into a three-leg dog. Then bend the knee and open up through the hip. So dropping the heel to the opposite butt cheek. Make sure you've got pressure through both of your hands and then make some circular movements with your left knee. Release off that hip tension and then take it the other way as well. Just rotating through the hip joint. Extend the leg back up to three-legged dog. Come forward to plank. Leg lifted as you, if you wish, as you lower to chaturanga. Push through up dog. All the way back into your downward facing. Well done. Bend the knees. Look forward. Jump or step up to the top. Halfway lift. Fold. Release. Take your feet a little wider so you can just soften through the knees, bring your chest onto your thighs, either hold the hands behind the back of the head or just release them to the floor. Take a nice passive fold here. Let go. Well done. Then take your feet an even wider to mat distance apart. Turn the toes out ever so slightly and drop the bottom down so you come into your Malasana, your yogic squat. Okay, so using the elbows to push the knees wide. Hands come into prayer at heart center. Drop your bottom down, lengthen up through the spine. Shoulders are relaxed. Take some breaths here. Nice, well done. All right, from here we're going to go straight into our boat posture. So if we drop the bottom down and bring the legs in front and then the arms extend forward. If you need to, you can always hold onto the back of the legs, whichever works best. But finding that position, activating through the core, lifting and lengthening through the spine to really raise your heart up towards the ceiling. Take an inhale. As you exhale, open out. And then inhale, lift it back up again. And then open yourself out. And then lift. Give me one more. Open out. Hold at the bottom. Take your arms overhead and hover in a dish position. Breathe in and release. Let yourself lay down onto the mat. Okay, so we did a few little lift and lowers of the hips at the beginning of the practice. I'm just going to do another one here. So the feet want to be about hip distance apart. Heels are in towards the bottom. So you might be able to touch with your middle fingers, arms down by your sides. Tilt the pelvis, lift the hips to the ceiling. Slowly rolling the hips up and then start moving your shoulders under. So walking the arms under so we can maybe interlace the hands underneath the back. Keep walking those shoulders underneath, pushing into the feet, lifting the hips. Good. Use the power of your legs to push the floor away and make sure the knees don't splay wide. Breathing into the chest area here. Keep the belly activated to help with the lower back. Lift up once more. Exhale, carefully release the hands and lower yourself back down to the mat. Well done. Now lifting the knees into the chest, give yourself a hug. And then extend the legs up towards the ceiling. Hold on to the back of the thighs and just have a little flex and point of the feet, maybe circle them one way and then the other. Releasing all those clicks in the ankles. Okay, and then flex the feet, so pull the toes towards you. Push your heels up towards the ceiling and see if you can spread your toes out really wide, all separate of each other. Okay, and then knees back into the chest. Give yourself a little squeeze in. And then we're going to go into shoulder stand for our inversion today. If you do wish to do any other variation or any other inversion as well, so headstanders, please feel free. Just be mindful of the space around you. I will talk through shoulder stand. So from knees into chest, take the legs up towards the ceiling. Arms come down to the floor by the sides. And then lifting the bottom off the mat, get hands, fingers and thumbs onto the back. And then bringing the legs up towards the ceiling. And then start walking the elbows towards each other so you can get higher onto the shoulders. So keep looking up towards your toes. Zip the legs together. Imagine you're holding a tennis ball or something between your ankles. So you can get those elbows a little closer to each other. So get nice and high. Engage the core. Engage your legs and your glutes. And really extend those toes to the ceiling. Then scissoring the legs. Right leg comes down to touch the floor behind your head. And then lift it back up. And then the left comes down to touch. And then lift it back up. And then try both. They may or may not get there. Whichever works for you today. If they do, we can interlace the hands and bring the arms down into a yoga lock. If the feet don't touch, just keep the hands on the base of the spine. We can keep the legs straight to working the hamstrings by pulling the toes towards our head, pushing the back of the knees up towards the ceiling. And if we're nice and stable here, we can even extend the arms up and reach the fingertips towards the ceiling and stay with this position. Or keeping the hands on the base of the spine if we're feeling a little wobbly. And just breathing here. Make sure your exhale is nice and long. Maybe close the eyes if that feels good too. And then just bend both of the knees and bring them towards your knees or forehead. To really curl yourself up, really place that restriction on your throat to stimulate the thyroid gland. And bring your hands down to the floor to act as brakes and slowly lower the spine to the mat, one vertebra at a time, all the way down. Once the bottom touches down, you can bend your knees if you wish, or you can keep the legs long as they travel all the way down to the mat. Take your arms up and over your head for a full body stretch. And reach your fingertips towards the back edge of your room. And extend and reach and point your toes and then release. Just let it go. Bring the knees in. Give them a well-deserved hug. Have a little rock from side to side. Take them over to the right side. Take your arms into a crucifix and finish with a spinal twist like we did at the beginning of the practice. Good. Bring it through center. Let's take them to the other side. All the way over. Turn your head in the opposite direction. Inhale, bring it through center. And then exhale, extend the legs long, slide them away from you and find your Shavasana position if you want to. Find any other position, posture before we finish, please do. It's going to be a bit of a quick Shavasana today. But any Shavasana is awesome. Let your shoulders take up space and your hips take up space. So move the limbs away from the midline of the body. Take a nice big long inhale. Open the mouth and sigh it out. And we'll do that again. So breathe in, fill up, and sigh it out. Soften and release yourself to the mat. Let all tension just release out of the body and find stillness. Just allowing the breath to flow as it needs to now. Noticing how the body's feeling. Not just physically, but mentally as well. So as the muscles soften, allow the limbs to grow heavier. Notice how your body is feeling physically, if there's any sensations within the body, if you can feel energy in any particular space, if you can feel a tingling sensation anywhere. And then also, what's going on in the mind? Is it starting to get busy again? Try to quieten it down. Bring your focus back to your intention, your dedication for practice. Think about why you came to your mat this morning. And keep that in the front of your mind as you start to make some small movements with your fingers, your toes, maybe make the breath a touch longer. Taking the arms up and overhead for a full body stretch when you're ready. And then drawing your knees into your chest, hugging them in. Rolling over onto your right side. Pausing there for a moment before coming back up to meet me in a seated position. Big deep breath. Release it out. Give thanks to everyone who shared this practice with you this morning online. It has been my pleasure to join you and to guide you through your practice this morning. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.